Okay, good morning students. Once again, welcome to the second lecture of sound. I hope that you have gone through the first lecture of sound properly, because over there the basics of sound were there. Now we will move on to the echo portion. As I had told you in the first lecture, we will discuss echo, the process of echo, the phenomena of echo, what is echo, and then we will solve a couple of numericals also on this, because this is there in your course. Okay, so now as you can see, I have listed down a few points just to save a little time. I'll keep explaining as and when we move ahead. Now, what is an echo? You must have heard the name itself, echo. So read the first line. It is the distinct hearing of the reflected sound when the original sound has died. Okay, so now there are two sounds in question over here. One sound is the original sound that is created. Okay, so that original sound, suppose I am speaking, this is the original sound that you are hearing. Okay, now there are a number of reflected sounds also that may be coming to your ears, but then they are not appearing, not sounding different or distinct from the original sound. That is why you are not able to hear any echo. So what is an echo? An echo is a repeated reflection of a sound, of the original sound, after the original sound has died. That means finished. Okay, so obviously there will be conditions for an echo to be heard. You cannot just hear an echo anywhere and any time. Okay, right? For example, in your houses, in your homes, when you speak, you do not generally hear the reflected sound again and again. Okay, you only hear the original sound. Okay, so there are particular conditions for an echo to be heard. We'll understand those conditions as and when we move along. Okay, so as of now, let us first understand, since we are all humans, we are talking about the hearing of an echo or the hearing of a reflected sound by us humans. So we must be able to understand a few important aspects of our ear, or the cochlea that is there inside our ear. So now you see, read this particular line. It takes 0.1 seconds for any sound falling on our ears to die off. That means 0.1 seconds is like 1/10 of a second. Okay, so even 1 second is extremely small. So you can imagine that 1/10 of a second is very, very small, and you will not even be able to actually have a look at it, in the sense that you'll be able to grasp it, or you will be able to wait for it. Okay, you can't simply wait for 0.1 seconds. The moment you start waiting, it's over. Okay, so whenever somebody speaks, that original sound remains on your ear, or remains in your ear, or continues to give a sensation of hearing for only 0.1 seconds. Okay, so that means in 0.1 seconds the original sound has died. Now if the reflected sound coming from maybe a wall or any obstruction, if it is coming and falling on your ear after 0.1 second, then that reflected sound will appear different from the original sound, and it is this reflected different sound that is called an echo. So any such reflected sound that reaches our ears after 0.1 seconds will be heard distinctly as an echo. If it comes within this 0.1 seconds, then you will not be able to differentiate it from the original sound. They will overlap, and in that case you will not be able to hear any echo. Okay, so for the distinct hearing of an echo, you must always get the reflected sound after a duration of 0.1 seconds. Okay, now in order to understand this better, now I have taken this up as a practical example. I have drawn a small diagram over here. This is a person, a human, who has some source of sound in his hand. He is going to create a sound, and that sound is going to travel some distance, strike an obstruction or a hill, or you can call this as a reflector, so that the sound comes back to the ear of the human, and he is able to hear that particular reflected sound after a time of 0.1 second. So that means for the sound to travel here and then come back, the minimum time taken should be 0.1 seconds. Okay, if it comes before 0.1 seconds, no echo. It will overlap on the original sound, no echo will be heard. So for an echo to be heard, this is the time duration that has to be there. Now, obviously this is air, medium is air in which the sound will travel. So at room temperature, generally the velocity of sound is around 340 meters per second. So if we use this distance of, velocity of 340 meters per second in air, then what will be the total distance that the sound will have to travel? It will travel d distance, strike the obstruction, then come back again d. Okay, so d plus d will give you a total distance traveled as 2d. Okay, so now velocity is equal to distance upon time. If you apply the formula, you are going to get this distance value as 17 meters. That means now we are coming to the point where we will understand why we can't hear an echo everywhere and every time. We can't hear the echo in our houses. When we generally go to the cliff side or the mountain side, we will be able to hear an echo, because the very basic condition for an echo to be heard is getting satisfied over there. What is that condition? That condition is the minimum distance between the source of sound and the reflector, or you can say the minimum distance between the listener and the obstructor, or the obstruction, or the reflector should be 17 meters. Okay, so if you are really standing at a distance of 17 meters from a wall or from a cliff, there is a possibility that you will hear an echo. Okay, so now come down to the different conditions necessary for an echo to be heard. Now these are the important conditions. First one I have already explained. The minimum distance between the source and the obstruction must be 17 meters. Remember, this is the minimum distance. It can be more than that also. And the other important point is this distance has been calculated in air. Okay, if you go down below water, over there also you can get an echo if the intensity of the sound is strong enough. But will the distance over there underwater or in any liquid also come out to be 17 meters? No, because please remember, we have calculated this distance of 17 meters taking the velocity of sound in air at room temperature. Okay, if we go inside water or in any other liquid, the velocity of sound in liquid will be much more than this. So based on this changed value, you will get a different d value as well. Okay, so but since we generally talk about the echo in air, so this is the calculation that is there. Now coming to the second important point, the size of the reflector or the obstruction must be significantly larger than the wavelength of sound. So this is generally you won't have a problem over here. This is usually the case. The obstruction or the hill is generally far larger in size in comparison to the wavelength of sound. Now the third point is very logical. The intensity of the original sound created must be good enough. So that is pretty obvious. You cannot stand here and whisper and expect the echo to come back. Why? Because if you simply whisper or if you talk very softly, the sound energy created will not be sufficient to travel and then strike and then come back. It will die down on the way. Maybe it won't even reach the obstruction. Remember, the sound that you are creating over here has to have so much energy that it travels, falls on the reflector and then comes back, and it is still audible. Okay, so these are the three conditions, and this is the process of echo. Now we will move on to a couple of numericals at least based on this, because this is there in your course. Okay, so let us start with the first numerical over here. Question 1. I have listed down two numericals. We'll solve. These are the unsolved questions from your book. First is an easy one, and then second will be slightly complex. Question 1. A man standing 48 meters away from a wall fires a gun. Okay, so let us begin with solution number 1 over here. Okay, suppose this is the person. He has a gun in his hand. Okay, and this is a wall. Okay, now this diagram representation is simply for a better understanding. You can solve it without drawing the diagram as well. Okay, so now this person is standing at a distance of 48 meters from the wall. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind is the distance traveled by the sound for the echo to be heard will be 48 plus 48, so that means 48 plus 48, that will give you 96 meters will be the distance traveled by the sound. Okay, now he fires a gun. So obviously when he fires a gun, there will be a sound created. That sound will travel, it will strike the wall, it will come back. Calculate the time after which the echo is heard if the sound velocity is itna in air. So velocity of sound is also given. It is 320 meters per second. Remember, this is air, so that is there. Now again, what is the time in which the echo is heard? So you simply use the formula. Velocity is equal to displacement or the distance, total distance traveled upon the time taken. So this time taken can be written as distance upon the velocity. So what is the total distance traveled? The total distance traveled is 96 meters. Okay, and the velocity is 320 meters per second. Okay, so this meter cancels, second goes up. You can calculate this by simplifying 96 upon 320. This value will come out to be in seconds. Okay, so if you really calculate, this value is going to come out to be 0.3 seconds. Okay, so in this particular case, the man who fires a gun standing at 48 meters from a wall, he will be able to hear the echo after a period of 0.3 seconds. Okay, so that is as far as the first question is concerned. Now we'll move on to question number 2. Okay, now a man fires a gun and hears its echo in 5 seconds. Okay, so once again I'm going to draw the diagram. Suppose this is the man and this here is the wall. Okay, so he is again firing a gun. Now this distance, suppose this distance is d. Okay, this full distance is d. So when he fires a gun from in this particular case, distance traveled will be 2d. Okay, d and then another d. Okay, this is the total distance traveled. What is the time in which the echo is being heard? The time in which the echo is being heard is 5 seconds. Okay. Velocity, do we know the velocity or the speed of sound? No. Calculate the speed of sound. So they are basically asking you what is the speed of sound. So we don't know this velocity of sound. So now in this case you see there are two unknowns. Distance d is also not known and the velocity of sound is also not known. So remember, for two unknowns you need to have two cases or two scenarios. Now when you will read the question further, you will get the second scenario also. The man then moves 310 meters towards the hill. So if this was the hill, now you see the new situation. Now I'll draw the new diagram over here, if you can see. Instead of standing over here, now the person has come forward, suppose over here. So this was the original position. I'm going to just draw this dotted line over here. He has actually moved 310 meters. Now you see, originally he was standing over here. So he was standing over here. He has moved 310 meters towards the hill. See, this is the hill, so he will move this way, 310 meters. So if the overall distance earlier was d, now the distance will become d minus 310 meters. Okay, so now when he will fire the gun again, this time the sound will travel d minus 310 and d minus 310 once again. So it is this distance one way and then the same distance backward. So in this particular case, again, if I write the distance traveled this time, it will be 2 times d minus 310, because remember, this 310 has gone now. He has shifted towards the hill. So now he is standing over here. Forget about this particular portion now. Now this is the distance into 2. Okay. So this is the new distance. What is the new time in which the echo will be heard? Do you think that he should hear the echo again in 5 seconds? No, obviously not, because he has moved closer to the hill. So he will hear the echo sooner. Now you see, this time he hears the echo in 3 seconds. So this time, the time taken is 3 seconds. Okay. And again, the velocity of sound is not going to change, because here also it was air. After his movement also it is air, and the temperature is roughly the same. Okay. So these are the two scenarios. We will form equations based on these two scenarios and solve them to get the answer of Vs. So in the first case, again I am going to apply that same formula. Velocity is equal to distance upon time. Okay. So now you see, Vs is equal to, what is the total distance? 2d upon, what is the time? 5 seconds. Okay. So from this I can get d is equal to 5 Vs upon 2. I'll call this as equation number 1. Okay. Similarly, if we apply that same formula here, I can write velocity is equal to total distance. This time the total distance is this upon, what is the time? The time is 3. Okay. So once again, this 3 can come over here. You will have 3 Vs is equal to, this 2 can come down over here, d minus 310. So your d value can be written as 3 Vs by 2 plus 310. Okay. So this is your d value, and you can call this as equation number 2. Okay. Now why am I writing these two equations in terms of d? Okay, why am I calculating d is equal to this and d is equal to this? Because remember, this d in fact is the same distance, this d. Okay, so now what I can do is, this d portion and this d portion, they can be equated, and with the help of that I will be able to find out Vs. Why am I trying to find out Vs? Because they have asked the speed of sound. Okay, so now I'll just try to solve. So now you see, I have equated these two d portions, this d value and this d value. I have equated them over here, because again our purpose was to find out the speed of sound, which is Vs. We don't need d in the equation. So now you see, 5 Vs by 2 is equal to 3 Vs by 2 plus 310. So this 3 Vs by 2 can come to the left hand side, it will get subtracted, equal to 310. You want to take the LCM, you can take the LCM, but this value will come out to be 2 by 2 Vs equal to 310. Therefore, Vs is equal to 310 meters per second. So the velocity or the speed of sound in this particular case in air is coming out to be 310 meters per second. Now we will stop here, because the question had only asked the speed of sound. Had the question asked the distance between the person and the cliff, then you can easily substitute this value of Vs in this equation or in this equation. This will be easier. So you can put this value of Vs 310 here, and you can calculate, you will get the value of the distance also. Okay. Now please remember that although we have discussed these numericals and most part of the echo considering air as the medium, please remember that we also can have the process of echo happening in underwater also, in liquids also. Okay. The only difference is that in that case the velocity of sound in the liquid or in the water will be much higher than such values. Okay, because if you remember from the first lecture, the velocity of sound in liquids is more than that in gases, and in solids it is even more. Okay, so now what we have to study is the applications of echo. Okay, so now very quickly and briefly, because this is very logical for you to understand, what are the uses or the practical applications of echo? The practical applications of echo will obviously be based on the exact phenomena of echo. Now, how does an echo come about? It is nothing but a reflected sound. The sound goes, falls on the reflector, strikes it, and then comes back. Okay, so where all can it be used? Obviously, it is used in ultrasonography. Okay, so in ultrasonography, which is what you call an ultrasound, you send waves and then they strike the internal body organs, whatever, maybe some stones or something, and then they come back. So depending on that, this methodology works. Okay, now obviously this is in medical field. Now coming over here to the first point, you have the sonar system, which is the underwater system. It is, the full form is sound navigation and ranging system. Sound navigation. Navigation means searching, and ranging means finding out the distance. So in especially in navy warfare, you use sonars quite a lot. You send from a ship which is floating on the sea, they send signals. The signals go down under the sea, into the sea, and then they strike maybe a submarine or something, and then they come back and they are received based on the time of for the wave to go down and then come back. That time is recorded, and based on the velocity of sound in water, in sea water, you can easily get the distance of the submarine from the sea level or from the top of the sea level. Okay, so if somebody asks you what are the different applications of an echo, you can say it is in sonar, it is in ultrasonography, even in radar systems which are radio detection and ranging. That happens in air. So over there also, whenever you have to detect a plane or something, you have radars working. They send radio signals, they strike the plane flying, and then they come back. Okay. The only difference between radar and sonar is that radar is used in air, sonar is used underwater. Okay. In sonars you send ultrasonic waves, whereas in radars you use radio waves. Okay, so this is basically, please remember that usually ultrasonic waves are used for an echo generation or for an echo to be heard. So obviously you as a human will not be able to hear this sound wave, because remember, this is an ultrasonic wave. Its frequency range is greater than 20,000 hertz, so it can't be heard by humans, but it will serve the purpose. What purpose? This wave will go and hit the reflector or the obstruction, come back, and it can be received. Okay, even bats use these ultrasonic waves. Okay, during night time the bats fly, you will it will appear to you as if they will come and strike the wall, but they will not. They use ultrasonic waves, they send it, then they reflect, it is reflected back, and then they receive it, and they are able to turn right at the last moment, so they don't strike the wall or the obstruction. Okay, so even dolphins, bats, I have already explained this, they use this. Okay, so as far as this lecture is concerned, we are now ending the echo part. We'll start with the vibrations, the natural vibrations, forced vibrations, damped vibrations, and all that stuff in the third lecture. So I hope you will be able to now solve. There are quite a number of numericals that are there in the book, in the echo chapter, so you can easily now go ahead and solve them. We have solved 2 of them over here. I hope you solve 2, 3 on your own also. Okay, students, thank you.